So if you like, the reason we have joints in the first place, if you think, again, evolution-wise, why would your body bother to create a gap in the bone in a certain place? And the answer is it's supposed to be able to move. And if you take any joints that don't move, if two joints move together in unison for a long enough period of time and they never move contrary to one another, then your brain's going to decide this is too much effort. There's a lot of muscle there that is supposed to stabilize at every point, you know. So when you're when you compress down, when you put force into it, those joints have muscles working either side, firing all the time to try and make sure that they stay exactly aligned.
And all the joints are feeding information back to the brain.
Yeah.
Proprioceptive information constantly as well.
Yeah, and so if the brain's not getting that proprioceptive information because nothing's happening, and that kind of is how the brain works, if nothing's happening, the brain gets no information, it's much more energy efficient for the brain to say, how about let's just build more bone there, we'll fuse those two bones together, turn them into one bone, and then we'll let the muscles around it just waste away, because there's no point in maintaining these muscles that need energy all the time. We could just replace that with bone that will just keep everything as solid and sturdy as we already had it, and it's just as easy, it's easier to maintain. So joints that don't move for long enough will just fuse together, and by proxy you could then assume anything you're not moving for a long enough period of time is going to become very, very stiff. So if we're thinking about core stability and holding everything rigidly all the time, which I'm sure not that many people do, but it was always the kind of feeling I got that people were trying to say about it. Then you can imagine, yes, stiffness is going to be the byproduct of that.
Yeah, it's just the impossible goal of the neutral spine. I blame the 80s.
Yeah.
So I do, really. It's 80s action films and everyone trying to get as big as they possibly can. They look like these 80s action movie heroes, and they're they're doing their squats and deadlifts and everything, but it's okay. Everyone's got the goal of the neutral spine. Do your deadlifts with the neutral spine. Do your squats with the neutral spine. And obviously, it's to avoid injury. But if your spine's strong enough, you should be able, to do your squats and deadlifts with a natural spine, because there's flexion. Your natural spine is not neutral. It's not straight.
Yeah, and actually, when we get into the neurology of it as well, a lot of these postural corrections that people make, we've got two movement systems in our body. We have one that is under voluntary control, and then we have one that is under autonomic control, and we don't control it. The one under voluntary control is the one where we start to feel muscles burning and we start to feel aching. So for example, if I just reach my arm out to the side and I hold it there, eventually the muscles are going to start to burn and they're going to start to ache, and they're going to start to burn because I'm voluntarily trying to hold my arm out to the side, and eventually my brain doesn't want me to do that. So the easiest way is to say, hey, guess what? This is getting tired. Maybe you should think about stopping. What I don't feel is while my arm is held out to the side, there's a whole lot of muscles working on the other side that are making sure I don't fall over in the direction of the arm that's being held out. And I don't need to notice if they're getting tired or not, because I'm not in control of them anyway. So when we think of all of these adjustments that we're making in our spine, if I tried to do this entire podcast sitting up vertically as straight as I possibly can, eventually all of those little bits that I've changed are just going to start to feel tired and sore, and it's going to be much more comfortable to slump back into this nice position. But this position isn't going to get tired. It's going to just keep happening because this is the position my the automatic systems are saying, yeah, just sit in this nice slouched, comfortable position.
This allows us to do what we want to do and save as much energy as we can save.
Yeah.
We're not wasting anything. So the thing about joints as well, though, is healthy joints help spread force. So, because we're built to move over uncertain terrain, so we're built to move around the earth, basically, and that could be loads of terrain. It could be soft sand, rocks, forest, whatever. So we're built to dissipate movement, and that goes on through up into the jaw as well. And a lot of people don't realise that. So they understand that the legs dissipate movement, but what they don't realise is every joint in the body will feel every foot strike. It dissipates as it goes up. So right down into the knuckles of your hand will reverberate with each foot strike up into the jaw, but people seem to just think it's the lower limbs.
Yeah, that's a really interesting one to see when you see it change in real time. For example, if you tell somebody to walk as fast as they possibly can with no arm swing at all, something else is going to change. So that a lot of people never realize the reason why the arms are swinging, but actually it's just a way of allowing that force to travel through the body without any two joints having to jolt and take a lot of that force at once. I've seen people when they restrict their arm movement, suddenly their walk becomes like a bounce, and their legs are taking much more energy, and so they're having to do more movement, and they're having to move in an unnatural way. I don't know whether that always means everyone will go into a bounce. I'm sure there's other more side-to-side movement and more
Speed's a big one.
rotation of the spine, and maybe they might just change the walking speed. But yeah, it goes the entire way, and every single one of the joints, all of the joints that are available to move are involved. So you may find when we get people that say, oh, I've got jaw pain, well, one of the questions we ask is, all right, let's look at you walk, because maybe there's something in the chain that's glaringly obvious. Maybe you've been injured in a certain place over and over, and actually that is stopping the transfer of force there, and so much more of it is ending up in these smaller muscles in the jaw. Or similarly, if we see people walk, or we're looking at somebody's ability to stabilize their core, because as much as we just slighted it, sometimes actually
It's useful.
we want them to be able to stay still if they need to be able to. Well, maybe it's not the spine. Maybe you've worked that hard enough. But one thing that people very rarely go to in their workout plan is jaw mobility.
Yeah.
So we find huge results there. I've seen actually some theories in acrobats for things like somersaults, when people are having really heavy landings on the ground, and you feel in your sacrum or like in your lower back this dull ache. Quite often that might actually be because of cervical spine mobility, so mobility in your neck or mobility in your jaw. It's just too tense there, and so all of the force has to dissipate lower down.
Yeah.